Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Christian Homestead. My name is Jason. We're going to have a real discussion today, hopefully really fast, about what you can expect to find when you're buying your garden seeds and what is the truth behind heirloom, hybrid, and GMO seeds. There gets to be a lot of questions these days about when you're buying your seeds, when you get a hybrid especially, is that a GMO seed? Is that some kind of genetically modified organism, right? That's what GMO stands for. And the fact is, it's simply not. A hybrid seed is not a GMO, okay? It might have been made in a lab per se, but it's just cross-pollinated. They're taking pollen from one plant, putting it on another, and they're crossbreeding, okay? You find hybrid chickens, you find hybrid vegetables, they're not genetically modified, okay, per se. They're just cross-pollinated, crisscrossing, okay? That's all that it simply is. But they're not an heirloom. Hybrid's also not an heirloom. So let's get to the real story about these three things. We grow mostly heirloom seeds, okay? We feel very strongly about heirlooms, but we're not 100% against hybrids. But the fact that we grow mostly heirlooms is simply because, okay, creation story, Genesis chapter 1:11, God said, let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it according to the various kinds. So that's the design. The design is food that produces seed so that you can continue to grow more food if you save the seeds. That's the plan. So that's why we feel so strongly about heirlooms, but we're not anti-hybrid. We will grow some hybrid seeds. But the reason why we do like heirlooms, aside from the creation, is that heirlooms have a better flavor. You're gonna get more variety. It's really tasty. Okay, it just simply is, and you can save the seeds if you keep the flowers from being cross-pollinated. Okay, so that's very positive. So in reality, is they are almost cheaper to grow too, because you ain't got to keep buying the seeds over and over, as long as you keep your seed pure. But there are some cons as well to these heirlooms. They're more prone to disease. All right, you can get more various wilts or funguses that can affect your crop, and then you don't get anything. So that's a tough part about growing heirlooms, that it's a little more difficult at some times. And also the plants can be a little more out of control. You get varieties that just are, as tomatoes and potatoes say, they're indeterminate. So they'll just grow everywhere, all over the place, and a little more to contain. But hey, that's the beauty of it sometimes too. A hybrid seed is going to be more uniform. It's going to most of the time be more disease resistant, and it's going to produce more fruit. The fruit may not taste as good. Being honest, they are working on producing hybrids that taste better, but a hybrid is just cross-pollinating, or like in some tomatoes and some fruits, it's a grafting process where they're taking one plant onto another and grafting it, and then grafting the edges, putting them together, and then the fruit is going to be something totally different. So there's a lot of apples done that way for sure, I know, and there's a lot of other fruits, and some tomatoes are grafted as well. And so simply put, a hybrid is going to have a more uniform, more disease-resistant fruit that may not taste as well. And another thing about hybrids is you can't save the seeds from them and then expect to get the same product you got this year, next year. I mean, you can save seeds from hybrids, but if you try to grow your vegetables from the seeds that you got from a hybrid vegetable, okay, then you're not going to get exactly what you got. It's going to be something from the parent stock, okay, which is why a lot of times if you try to grow something from a seed that you bought from a vegetable that you bought in the store, that you're not going to get something that may even be edible. Like a tomato, you might get a cherry tomato. Okay, well, a lot of people say, hey, I like cherry tomatoes. You don't really know what it's going to taste like, because that's the point of the hybrids, is they're breeding one thing for root development, one thing for production, one thing for tough skin so it's not cracking, so they're mixing all these different properties and getting one thing, but the DNA isn't going to replicate the same way in its future generations. It's going to be something from everything else, right? So you're not going to get the same thing from a hybrid seed the next year. So let's get to these dreaded GMOs. I'm going to do my best here to not give you my very strong opinion about them, but just to give you the simple truth about what the GMO is. It is genetically modified organisms, GMO. And that in itself is going to give you a little resistance and kind of make you cringe. It does me, for sure. But the reality is that there's a lot of different ideas out there about what they are and how they're going to affect you and your animals. But if you're worried about getting GMO seeds when you buy your garden seeds, the answer is simply no. You're not going to get GMO seeds when you buy your garden seeds, because the makers of these GMO seeds only sell to commercial farmers, okay? And you have to sign a contract. Now, if you're signing a contract on seeds you're buying, you're probably buying GMOs, okay? But you have to sign a contract because the makers want to protect their patent. They want to protect how these things are grown and who has them and where they're going. So they really want to make sure they keep all that stuff like under their control, right? And so mostly it's just commercial growers who are getting it, and not everything's GMO, by the way. Not everything has GMO seeds. I actually have a list here of what crops you can find GMOs in. Now, not everything that's grown of these is GMO, but here's what it is. It's corn, soybean, cotton, potato, summer squash, canola, alfalfa, apple, although what I read is that at that time it wasn't on the market yet. That's been a year, maybe it is on the market now, I don't know. And then the glorious pink pineapple. Oh, in case you're wondering, salmon and pigs also have GMO animals. Okay. And by the way, they're doing chicken in a lab, and they're working on beef made from rice. So there's the other side. It's not just vegetables. And where you're mostly going to find all that stuff is in the boxed ingredients that you're eating, or in the fast food that you're eating, or in the frozen foods that you're eating. I know a lot of times I'll look at the bread. Like if we buy bread out of the store, I'm going to look at the ingredients list, and on the back it's going to say at the very bottom contains bioengineered ingredients. That's not necessarily GMO, although it is GMO, but from what I'm reading, bioengineered food ingredients means something totally different, which I might get into in another video. But when it comes down to GMO seeds, you're not buying them from your everyday seed companies. So they're going to tell you these are non-GMO seeds, but there's no different in if you're buying them from one place or from one online seed company or the other, because they're all non-GMO seeds. They're going to tell you if it's a hybrid or not, hybrid heirloom. They're going to tell you that. Or they're going to say F1 hybrid, which means it is pretty stable, but it's not technically an heirloom yet. And also GMO seeds, like when they're in the fields, they have to be marked. Like we drive here in Southwest Ohio, we can go by some fields of corn and soybean, and they're gonna have signs that say like Pioneer seeds on them, for instance. That's one. There's a sign there because it's a GMO field, and they have to tell you it's a GMO field, and they're gonna tell you who owns the patent to those seeds. And most of the GMOs you're gonna find are typically used for animal food, or for like, okay, canola, you're gonna find it in your canola oil. A lot of the we'll say sugar beets can be found in sugar. Now, if it says pure cane sugar, it's not GMO because it's not made from sugar beet. It's the really cheap sugars you find. A lot of times store brand sugars or things like that. It just says sugar, maybe it says beet sugar. It's going to be GMO. If you're looking to avoid GMO potatoes, maybe you want to avoid fast food fries, and probably a lot of the frozen potato product is going to be that as well. I don't think that there's anything like you're buying the potatoes you buy in the store, just the fresh potatoes in the produce department. I don't think any of those are going to be GMO. Now, again, anything that says organic, whether it's organic meat or organic produce, can have anything to do with GMO at all. Organic meat can't be eating GMO food, and organic produce can't be GMO seeds. So again, that's just the truth about your garden seeds and about heirloom, hybrid, and GMO. And I'm trying not to be very opinionated, okay? I do my best. And that's the simple truth about your garden seeds, whether it be heirloom, hybrid, or GMO. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you. Goodbye.